The guns are due to fall silent at 6 o'clock later this morning when a ceasefire in the Middle East conflict comes into force. But in the past few hours, the violence has shown no sign of abating, with at least 250 Hezbollah rockets hitting towns and cities in northern Israel. In return, Beirut has been bombarded from sea and air by Israeli forces. Well, let's take a look at the main developments so far. A series of strikes in southern Beirut yesterday killed at least 2 children. There have been more assaults overnight. 5 Israeli soldiers died and 25 were wounded in clashes with Hezbollah in South Lebanon. At least 8 people died in attacks around Tyre, the Lebanese port city. On the other side of the border, more than 250 rockets have hit Israel. An elderly man died in a Hezbollah rocket attack in the northern Israeli town of Yara. And there were strikes against Shlomi, Haifa and Kiryat Shimona. Israel has said it's shot down a Hezbollah drone in the border area.
A ceasefire is imminent, but for now the firing hasn't ceased. Haifa is again a Hezbollah target. Fires rage in the port city after rockets hit. Earlier in Beirut, there were reports of 20 explosions in just 2 minutes. Israeli warships thought to be responsible. It came just as Israel's cabinet rubber-stamped the UN resolution. Israeli ministers met for 5 hours, 24 votes in favour, none against, just 1 abstention. After the vote, Israel's foreign minister made her position clear. Israeli troops will leave Lebanon once the Lebanese army and UN force has moved in. And Israel believes the ceasefire will lead in the end to the disarming of Hezbollah.
We pull back incrementally to the international frontier. We coordinate that pullout with the Lebanese army and with the international forces. The idea is not to pull out in a fashion that will create a vacuum and allow Hezbollah to exploit that vacuum and move back in. The idea is to have this coordinated pullout. Now, if in the framework of that Hezbollah attacks Israel, that's totally against what's written in the UN resolution. That's a violation of that resolution. And of course, Israel will be entitled to respond.
Earlier, the word from the UN was the time frame is now in place.
Preferably, the fighting should stop now, to respect the spirit and intent of the Council decision.
But neither party is likely to stop fighting ahead of the deadline or before the UN force arrives. Neither can afford to say they have lost. So the biggest military operation of its kind in Israel's history continues. These Israeli troops pray as the army fights to secure the area up to the Litani River. But despite their prayers, there are heavy losses. More Israeli soldiers have been killed and injured. Those wounded are rushed to safety as quickly as possible. There are many Lebanese casualties as well. Here in the Bekaa Valley, homes and vehicles are destroyed as Israel continues its pounding of what it says are Hezbollah positions. All now agree the ceasefire must happen. Lebanon's Prime Minister has called the UN plan a triumph for Lebanese diplomacy.
There won't be any weapons in the country, starting from the area, which is the zone that will be south of the Litani. There won't be any weapons other than the weapons of the central government.
Cracks, though, are beginning to show. Lebanon's government is reportedly divided about Hezbollah's disarmament. Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah says it will respect the ceasefire, but will continue the fight while Israeli troops remain in southern Lebanon. It's more than 4 weeks since 2 Israeli soldiers were kidnapped by Hezbollah. Israel says they haven't been forgotten and should be released unconditionally. In the meantime, the guns and rockets are not yet silent. It will be a fragile ceasefire at best. Jonathan Samuels, Sky News, Jerusalem.